Okay, so it's 4 o'clock straight up, but I am going to wait for just a little bit longer, allow the network to breathe, and see if anybody's going to join today. It's Friday. Um, I always call Friday free day. Doesn't mean a whole lot to me. It's not a whole lot different than any other day beyond the energy that it emits. But that's a conversation for another time. So I'm expressing myself today. Today's topic on She Shakes Fear with Selexi is express yourself. Now, as usual, I have no foresight or insight into where this discussion is going to flow. I am in the flow, and so I'm just going to allow it to go. But what initially came to my mind earlier today when I decided that I wanted to talk about expressing ourselves, um, it initially focused on our outward appearance, how we, demonstrate our sense of fashion or our sense of beauty, our sense of swag, chic, dope, the bomb, hot, whatever. Our sense of what looks good, and that's what I was initially talking about, our outward appearance, and part of that um, even thought process came from my decision to start wearing head jewelry. It's something that I had thought about 2 years ago in 2019 when I cut all my hair off due to, I have alopecia in the top of my head, but in 2019, I had just taken out a big, beautiful set of braids that the weight was just too much on my growing, fragile hair. Um, and caused me to have some increased hair loss. And so I cut all my hair off in 2019. And that I guess somewhat of a medical reason for it happening, or there was some sort of catalyst that caused me to go ahead and cut the hair off. But then in cutting the hair off, that also caused a physical and outward change in my appearance. And so as a result of that decision to cut the hair off, I had to make some adjustments in my psyche and the way that I expressed myself. My style changed a little bit even, because I now was this beautiful bald head being versus this woman who had been rocking some really beautiful braids, being done by my daughter-in-law. And so it's like, yeah, initially I'm thinking this is about outward expression. And 2 years ago, I wanted to wear the head jewelry, but then something happened. I, made some other choices that I think caused me to be distracted in the things that I wanted to do personally to express myself in the world or whatever. I guess clearly I had to have been distracted because I'm just now coming to it or back to it or bringing it up again 2 years later. But that again, like I said, was on a more physical, outward appearance, physical level, outward appearance and how we express ourselves. I mean, that's a lot of what social media is us expressing ourselves and in whatever way we choose to share with the world. But then as I was preparing for this recording, it occurred to me that I needed to go deeper. That even though I have grown accustomed to expressing myself, acknowledging that I'm this spiritual being having I'm a multi-dimensional spiritual being having a human, very physical, very material experience in the world. And as Madonna says, we're living in a material world, and we've all become material people because we live in a material world. There's no way you can exist any other way. But that's not really who you are. So what I want to talk about is, this whole channel has been reformatted to really focus on addressing the issue of fear, and moving to self-love, self-worth, self-respect, high self-esteem, self-actualization, self-realization. That's the ultimate goal of the transformation that the channel is undergoing. And that is an automatic domino like process because I myself, as I keep reminding you, am undergoing a transformational process on the cellular level. And so at the very microcosmic level, that's going to continue to proliferate until the outward appearance is even fully transformed as a result of that inner work that's being done. So when I realized that I had to go deeper, and I added that to the causative agent of why I find myself at this place, at this state, at this point, at this juncture in life. And it is because in my effort to fit in, not fit in as in to conform, but in my effort to fit in with as little conflict as possible, I failed to fully express myself. I withheld feelings that I was experiencing. And now I know it was out of fear. Fear that I was experiencing it and fear that I was withholding it. Fear. I grew up, I hate to say this, but it's like all my life I had to fight. Like Oprah says in The Color Purple, all my life I feel like I've had to fight. So it's no wonder that I find myself in this battle within. My body is suffering because all my life I've had to fight to be, or to be who I thought the world expected me to be who I thought my family wanted me to be who every other organization, entity, society, school system, corporate, business, group, church, whatever I felt, I felt, because I can't place blame on anyone. I am responsible for this journey. I am responsible for the choices that I make. But when I took all those things into consideration, I realized that even in that, I was somewhat of a people pleaser. Because not at any of those times was I really fully expressing myself. Because when were we allowed to truly express our feelings? Growing up, think back. Oh, come on, as Betty Wright says. Think back to your very first time. Now, some of you are going to have to think back a little bit further than others. But I'm talking about, I don't know where your mind is, but I'm talking about think back to the very first time that you were attempting to express yourself and then was stopped, prohibited. Got the hand even maybe. Remember we speak to the hand because I'm not trying to hear that. Or what would your parent say to you? Not everybody. I know most of us grew up in wonderful, fully functional, healthy environments. Most of us. But for those of us who didn't, if you were trying to explain yourself in a situation, whether you were trying to get out of it or explain what actually happened, were you allowed to share your story? When you went to school and something happened at school, were you allowed to fully share your story? Because when we incur situations, there's emotion that revs up in us, and it's either going to be, just based on my perspective. I'm no expert of anything that has been proven to be factual. I'm only an expert over what I've experienced. So my perspective is based on the sum total of my experiences. Okay, so what I'm sharing is with you here is, sorry. When or at what point did you stop having permission to fully express the feelings that you were having? Because I think up to a certain age where why you see, I just had another thought. I was going to say maybe at a certain age we get to freely express ourselves and without being cut off. But it just occurred to me. I'm a mother of 3 sons. And when they were expressing themselves, crying, right? When the babies are crying and we're trying to figure out what it is they're crying for, and we're going through a process, sometimes it's like, okay, maybe that check their diaper, when the baby first wakes up, or, you hear the baby crying, check their diaper, see if they're wet or uncomfortable or soiled the diaper. So, if they are, you change their diaper. Baby still crying. Okay, maybe the baby wants to be picked up and held. And depending on if it's your first time being a mother or not, you might have, after you change the baby's diaper, held the baby or immediately held the baby and took them over to the changing table, unless you changed the diaper right there in the crib or whatever, or wherever the baby was lying. You follow me? So, but at any rate, you're responding to this baby's outward verbal expression. Now, when you come in, and I forgot, the other thing you might do is feed the baby, right? Give the baby a bottle, or just get the baby out of the bed and try to have playtime or something, you know. But anyway, you're addressing their outward verbal expression. But as soon as we're given an intervention to stop the expression, do we even know if that's what we wanted? I don't know where this stuff comes from. This is how my mind is wired. I think I'm so curious and I think about the unseen. And so now I'm in this space of, because I'm having some mental and spiritual challenges going on. You might say a mental spiritual war going on, a battle. The mental, which represents my ego, wanting to maintain the status quo and stick to the old paradigm, and the spiritual aspect of me saying, no, it's time to raise the vibration. It's time to elevate. It's time to transform to a new expression and leave the former things behind. But because we have been over time suppressed, our expression, our ability to express has been suppressed. What about in school? What about in church? Ooh, child, let me tell you, there was a time when I had an experience, an experience that had become public knowledge in the church. And I arose one day. I arose one day to give testimony. Because I needed to get that stuff off my chest. I had sinned against God. I had sinned against the word, the Bible. I had sinned. And so I needed to confess my sins. I needed to confess my sin. I needed to make atonement. I needed to release the shame and the guilt. That had been programmed into me, as if no one else had ever done anything in their life. But anyway, when I tell you, when testimony time came in the service and I stood up, like the whole church just got silent. And people in the know, like people who knew or had an idea of what I might be getting ready to say because they knew of the situation I found myself in. Baby, I had no idea I was going to talk about this, I promise, but it clearly is something I need to deal with. Okay, it's something that I need to heal. I need to deal so I can heal. This is what I'm talking about, y'all. Fear brings up feelings that need healing. I could have called this I don't know. I could have called it healing the feeling. But it's expressing yourself. Because when those feelings come up, if we don't express them, we can't deal with them. We can't even acknowledge that they exist if we don't allow ourselves to express them. How does it feel? What are you feeling? Can you describe it? Can you describe it in a word? Can you describe it in a drawing? Can you describe it in a symbol? Can you describe it in art? Can you describe it in song? Can you describe it in word? Can you describe it in craftsmanship? How can you express it? What mode, what method is the most appropriate for you to express what it is? Because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. The only way the inner us, the God in us, how the invisible experiences the visible is through feeling. So we have to express ourselves. Oh, this makes me feel really good. I'm sorry. We have to express ourselves. Even the way I'm communicating, I am communicating the passion that I feel about what I'm talking about in my expression. So it's not only what you see and what you hear, but you are also getting to feel what I'm saying. And if you're a practicing communicator, if you're a practicing conversationalist, such as myself, if you're a practicing connector, if you're a gap filler or a bridge builder, one must be able to express themselves. Because you need the person that you are teaching, the purpose person to whom you are sharing, you need them to not only see, hear, read, you need them to feel. The more senses you can engage, the more likely they're going to be able to connect with you right where you are. I always think about Nat Turner in this situation. You know, when he was given that Bible to teach the slaves, a lot of it had been marked out. And so he was only left with bits and pieces that he could share with the slaves. So he had to become a brilliant orator. He had to internally download a program from the invisible Because see, we didn't have the World Wide Web then. He couldn't just Google, how do I connect with these people with the true message using only these few words? He couldn't Google that shit from heaven, from the invisible. Not the way that we're able to do it now, external of ourselves. No. Nat Turner had to draw on what came from the invisible realm, from here and from here, what emanated out of him, that which had been imputed in him. Oh, this feels so good to me. I hope you understand, overstand, and then come to touch and agree so that you understand what I am sharing with you. Expressing yourself is about generating or emitting a vibration that pierces the soul of another being or even another object. I'm to the point where I'm speaking to the trees and the grass, as I walk upon it and embrace the beauty of it all. I'm good morning, beautiful mother. Really, that sums it up. I don't even have to call them out individually by their labels. Good morning, beautiful, luscious, emerald green mother. And I'm out there and I'm walking on Mother Earth. So there is automatically a feeling connection because my energy is now in direct communication with Mother Earth because I'm completely barefoot, you best believe. Yesterday it rained, baby. And I was out there walking in the grass and I could feel the soft, moist earth squishing up between my toes when I tell you that felt so reinvigorating. Oh my goodness. And then I was sharing it with another divine feminine. And, I could just tell by just her change in expression how much she was enjoying the shared connection we had with Mother. Whew. Man, I just put myself in the moment because I had a feeling. I sensed it. I was intuitively connected with the Divine Mother of all things. I felt it. And so now today, as I talk about it, I can relive that feeling so that I can share it with you. I'm talking about expressing yourself. Expressing yourself from a feeling. Now, I'm not saying that adorning ourselves, our outward appearances, I'm not saying that doesn't emit an energy. In fact, I'm saying absolutely it does. But remember what I said, the more senses we engage, the more impact we have. The stronger the impulse and the faster the frequency. The more senses that you engage, the more power, the more influence. My ankh just flew across the room off my bracelet. Wow. The more power and the more influence you have, increasing your vibrational energy, your electromagnetic activity. That is done through feeling. Feeling is something that is expressed. And you do that through communication, verbally. You got to think about how it sounds to them. You see how I'm altering my sound? I'm altering my tone. Sometimes I'm whispering. Sometimes I'm loud. Sometimes I'm soft. And then I'm altering my facial expression, my body movements, the volume, the tone, the humor, the seriousness, focus, broad, general. I'm conveying all those things through what we call expression. So the more senses we can engage, the more power, the more impact, the bigger, the stronger the impulse, the more likely you are going to connect with the other individual. They teach this in a course called Toastmasters, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. So you take from the invisible, deal with it, and then you can translate it and share it with someone else. That is expression. But if that's been suppressed in your life, and like I said, I know it hasn't been in many, how well do you think you've been doing throughout your life, being able to be authentic and transparent? How do you demonstrate authenticity and transparency without expressing emotion? You know, most of the time we think of emotion as, well, for first of all, I like to think of emotion as energy in motion, so energy moving. And because I like to kind of define different vibrations and different, just like in a song, how in the song, you move, and the melody is different because of a change in keys that are being hit or notes that are being played, right? So the situation is just like a song. And so you're expressing yourself the way you would sing a song. Sing a song, sing a song, it'll make you glad, or something. I don't know why that just popped in my head, probably because you could actually start, if you're in a bad headspace, in a fear state of mind, you could actually sing a song that will make you glad, that will set you free from the bondage of fear. But the process of being set free means that you must address those feelings that evoke the fear that you are experiencing. Ultimately, you must deal with those feelings first for yourself before you will someday be a blessing to the world. You see, dealing and healing your feelings, dealing with and healing those feelings that arise out of fear or love. Either one, because I'm talking about emotion, energy in motion. At one spectrum, I'm going to say on the highest spectrum, because we agree that higher is better. On the high spectrum, it's love. And on the very low spectrum is fear. That's where hate and all those other feelings are born out of, right? Fear. Fear being false evidence appearing real, and love being the epitome of unity consciousness, freedom, oneness, complete wholeness. But they're opposite of each other. So they carry different vibrations and frequencies. That's what I'm talking about. So when you're communicating or engaging with an individual, and my apologies, y'all, if I'm scattering around. I know I do this from time to time. It's just that the honest and authentic, transparent rationale for why I'm having all this scatterbrainness as I talk about this subject matter is because for far too long I've suppressed my feelings. And now I have so much to get out. I have so much to express that I chose this platform to express it to as many people as I possibly can. I didn't want to be bound. I remember right before, sometime in maybe 2008 or so, or maybe even sooner than that, I had an idea, or I felt this urge, this draw on me to minister, have a ministry without walls. I'm just remembering that today. I'm telling you, transformation is about pulling all the pieces of you back together. Because Jill Scott said it, pieces of me were scattered in the wind, blowing in the wind in different directions. Yeah. Pieces of you are scattered. Pieces of me have been scattered. And so now in this transformational process, I am being remembered. I am coming back together for inventory, for an assessment, because everything can't come with me to the next level. I think I talked about this before. So fear operates in us. It's false evidence appearing real. Yes. False evidence of something harmful. False evidence of something that's not beneficial to you. False evidence of the consequences and outcomes of those feelings rising to the surface. It's false. You get this negative sensation in your body, these negative feelings. It's false evidence appearing real because, see, the fear is heralding. Hey, there's some feelings coming up. There's some feelings on the rise. There's some feelings rolling in that you need to deal with, that you need to heal from past pain, trauma, or hurt. That's what fear is telling you. Fear is it's something I want to call that. Ding, 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 ding. Hello, knock, knock. Fear is knocking at the door. Fear is knocking at your door and saying, hey, there's some feelings that need to be addressed. I could almost start changing that acronym from false evidence appearing real to something about feelings. Feelings. Anyway, I'm going to come up with something because I'm feeling something different about what fear means. As I'm feeling, so I'm feeling something different about maybe it's not about false evidence appearing real, although that's a catchy phrase and it sounds good. Energetically, that's something else is resonating with me, and it's got something to do with feelings because it's a knock at your door that something needs to be healed. You need to express these feelings in order for them to be healed, and sometimes expressing yourself is simply speaking, putting life to the word. To the thought, speaking life into the thought. You know, you have this thought, you have this feeling. Feelings don't come with words. Feelings don't come with labels. You just have this feeling that arises in you. And you do your best to use vocabulary that most people are familiar with in order for you to convey to them what it is you're feeling. What has happened to us is because oftentimes we don't have the skill set that's required to use the vocabulary in order to describe what it is we're feeling. So we just don't describe the feelings at all. We don't deal with the feelings. We don't express the feelings. And so we allow the feelings to be suppressed. And what happens when we do that? You keep living and something will happen. What they say will trigger you because you ain't never healed those feelings. You'll get triggered. Those fear will creep in. You'll be like, oh, you have a panic attack, or you won't, at least with anxiety, you can still kind of function and operate. You know, you might speed up or something or whatever, but the opposite, depression, it might slow you down and you don't do as much. So I don't know if I would rather be anxious or depressed. Either way, fear is creeping up. Those feelings are creeping up again because you still need to deal with them. You still need to deal with them. Do you find yourself today still trying to deal and heal feelings from when you were a little kid? I'm so grateful to say that is not my issue today. That is not my issue today. But it doesn't mean that I don't have one that's more recent. This transformation that I'm going through, I'm still dealing and healing feelings from my past. I think all of us are because we've been programmed and trained. And I'm not saying that it was intentionally. We've been trained to suppress our feelings, to delay expression. And now COVID comes along and either shut down and people having to be together and people start to see the real people that they say they love and stuff, starting to see them other aspects of them because you're spending so much time with them and you're starting to realize that you didn't really know that person because you never got to see them expressing those other aspects of who they are. Well, guess what? Those suppressed feelings, that undealt with fear, it'll just keep rearing its ugly head until you deal with it or it drives you crazy. Off the deep end with anxiety or just complete withdrawal from society with depression. You got to deal with it, y'all. Express yourself. Don't hold it in. Holding in, I've read something on from a metaphysical perspective that one of the causes of cancer, a possible cause of cancer, is undealt with feelings. Whoo! Feelings, fear. When fear came knocking, we refused to deal with those feelings. And so we find a way to cope. We find a way to cope. We get that instant high I was talking about the other day. We find a way to cope. And then something happens in our life and we're triggered again. Fear knocking at the door. Hey, Selexi, you got some unresolved feelings. You got some feelings that you need to apply some dealing so that you can get a healing. In 2017, after the eclipse in August 2017, and it rained, and then the sun came back out, and it was imputed in me a song, the melody and the lyrics. I need a healing, a sweet revealing. I need a healing spirit to purify my soul. I need a healing, a sweet revealing. I need a healing spirit to purify my soul. Hey, I claim it now. It went something like that. That was in 2017, and here we are in 2021. And I've allowed myself to begin that process, or I'm allowing myself to manifest that which I put out into the ethers in 2017. I connected with Mother, the divine source. I allowed myself to receive that. I was open to the melody and the lyrics, recognizing, acknowledging that I needed a healing. But in order to be healed, I first needed a revealing of what it was that needed to be healed. Come on and go with me, somebody. I wish you would interact with me today. I wish you would engage with me today. But it's okay if you don't. I'm going to do this anyway. Because I recognize that even in my healing, someone else can be healed. With me, after me, down the road. It doesn't matter when. I might be planting a seed for somebody. For others, I may be watering the seed that's already been planted. Express yourself. Express yourself, and it's gotta be you and only you, babe. Express yourself. Come on and work your body. Nobody can express yourself better than you. When fear comes knocking at your door, remember, baby, you are a Shakespearean. When we see fear, it trembles. When fear sees us, it trembles. Fear should tremble in the sight of you. When you know who and what you are, recognize fear not necessarily as an enemy, but when you know who you are, when you open the door and fear is trembling. Here, I got a message for you. Fear is the scared messenger. I just had a visual. Probably because somebody is across the street cutting their grass and my blinds are open. Anyway, I'm sitting at the front door, but I just had a visual of fear. This person coming to my door and I'm, knocking on the door. I open the door and it's fear and trembling. Fear is trembling right at the door. Miss Alexi, I just have a message for you, a telegram. And then I open it and it says, "Hey, Alexi, I love you, divine daughter. You have some healing to do. You have some unresolved feelings that must be addressed. You need to acknowledge them, accept them, deal with them so you can be healed by them." And I like, one of the thoughts that came to me this morning when I got up was that fear is something that can be accepted and embraced when you look at it from a different perspective. And from another perspective, if and when you find yourself fearful, because remember, it's a state of mind. That means, because remember I said, if it rises up and you don't deal with the feelings that fear is telling you about, if it rises up and you don't deal with it, trust and believe something's going to happen that's going to stimulate them to rise again, just like waves, one after another, until you deal with it. If you don't deal with it, you'll be overcome by them. Drowning in the sea of love. And you don't have to drown in the sea of love. You can tread water, baby. In the sea of love, you should be enjoying the waves, not encompassed by the waves, not succumb by the waves. You should be enjoying the waves above water, not below. Only time you should be below water is when you dealing with those feelings. Deep sea diving. Deep sea diving, when you're dealing with those feelings. After the acceptance, acknowledge, accepting, embracing. You go from fearful, full of fear, to fearless. You are less fearful, having gone through the transformation of dealing and healing. You understand? You overstand. You understand. If anything that I am sharing with you is resonating with you on any level, please, please, please like, comment, share with someone who might be dealing with a difficult time in expressing themselves. I'm telling you, when you get that stuff out of you, when you release and let it go. We sing a song in my spiritual center. I release and I let go. I let my spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. 'Cause I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. And the melody is probably different from that, but that's how it's resonating with me today. But there is power. There is elevation. There is transformation in releasing and letting go. But the other component of that is, in order for you to release and let it go, you must first acknowledge that it exists. Accept it so that you can deal with it. And then by thy healing, the by your healing, by taking care of that, not just putting a band-aid on it, not popping a pill, not taking it out of one closet and putting it in another, not pulling it out from under the bed and sticking it in the garage or the basement or the attic. You actually bring it to the first floor and deal with it. Consciously meditate on it consciously, and then subconsciously through meditation. I'm going to say that again because I want to make sure you get that. Accept it consciously. Meditate on it so that your subconscious perspective can be changed, forever changed by dealing with it. But you've got to allow those feelings to be expressed. Talk to someone, a counselor, a spiritual advisor, a close friend, a family member, your parents. Don't suppress those feelings. And if somebody gives you the hand or takes the opportunity away from you or attempts to take it away from you, take it back. Express yourself in the moment. Now, I will ask that you attempt to temper it with compassion and kindness and love, peace, if at all possible. But I recognize myself that some things require to you to be able to express them just completely raw. Completely raw. I was talking to a care team member yesterday, and I said, I just really have zero tolerance for bullshit. Zero tolerance for bullshit. I made no excuses, and I wanted her to feel what that means when you have lived your life in fight mode the entire time. I physically fought. I had to mentally fight. I spiritually fought. I mean, my life has just been a battle that I was attempting to fight an ego only. I didn't realize the power of the strength that lie dormant at the base of my spine. In some philosophies, they call that the Kundalini energy. I'm getting long, but I'm in the flow. Take a break and come back if you have to. I'm going to let it go. Once you start dealing, once you see that fear is just as afraid of you as it is, as you are of it, once you recognize that fear is just as afraid of you as you are of it, that's when you take the upper hand. Then you can be like, when fear knock at the door, just leave it at the door, fear, I'll get it. Fear, you don't even have to knock at the door. Just stick it in my mailbox. I'll get it. I'll deal with it when I'm ready to deal with it. Then you controlling fear. And then at some point, because remember what I said just a while ago, as you allow yourself to deal with the feelings that cause the fear to come knocking at your door in the first place, you become less fearful. They call that fearless. What does that mean? What that means is, I said fear is a state of mind. It's a temporary, it's transit. It's not meant to last always. You must not continue living this life dealing with fear. Because once you embrace it, it becomes a part of who you are. That's what diffuses the power of fear. There will no longer be people knocking at your door. Because when you have the feeling, when the emotion begins to bubble up in you, because of how an experience makes you feel, good, bad, or indifferent, you will deal with it in the moment. You are not a hotel for fucked up feelings. This is not the Heartbreak Hotel. This is not the Heartbreak Hotel. This is not that. There's no room in the inn for that. Once you allow fear to become one with you, get on your team, Judas. Get on my team, fear, Judas. See, Judas both loved and hated Jesus. The same jealousy, misery, misunderstanding, whatever. But once you bring fear in on your side and you in control, greater is that which is in you than that which is external of you. See, as long as fear is external of you, meaning as long as you allow anything external of you to keep you from dealing with what's inside of you, you're giving over your power. Giving over your power. You're giving over your energy. Why? You become one with that. And then you're in total control. No more. You become fearless. They call that courage. You start taking risks. They call that stepping out on faith. You start walking in confidence. And when the fearless see you, they see arrogance because they don't understand. Why is it? What is it about you that what is so wonderful about your life that you walk around with your head held high? Are you not out here experiencing the same stuff that we're being exposed to? What's so different about you that you can have the appearance of prosperity and abundance? We call that health and wealth because they go hand in hand. I had an epiphany the other day. I thought, sometimes when we look at why we admire celebrities and actresses and actors and singers and so forth, and the notable, the popular, the reason why we admire them is because they bring a whole package to the table. Now, we don't get to see all the different aspects of them, but they give off the appearance that we are. They do the talk shows so we can see other aspects of their life, so we can learn about the invisible, what we don't get to see, to kind of fill in our perspective of them. That's why they do the talk shows, radio shows, celebrities and stuff, in addition to whatever it is that they're sharing, whatever gift or art form that they're sharing with the world. They strive to be healthy. They will go to great lengths to even give the appearance of health. You know what I'm talking about, plastic surgery and all of that. The big booties, it made me think that, booty and bounty are basically etymologically. That's what happened when you try to use big words. Booty and bounty originate from the same concept, from the same principle, abundance. Abundance, a bun dance. Booties, booty. The big booty is the popular thing right now. All the singers and sexy actresses and so forth, all those who, even men who desire to give off the appearance of sexiness, they want to demonstrate nice buns. I like big butts and I cannot lie, right? Everybody, big buns, a bun dance. That twerking, it's a bun dance. A bun. Now this is huge. If nothing else clicks, I hope this clicks. A bun dance. Abundance. Booty. Bounty. It means abundance. If you captured, if somebody had a bounty on their head and you were the one who captured them, brought them in, bounty hunter, you get the bounty, the money, the abundance, a reward for your capture. Guess what? When you deal with those feelings, when you heal those feelings, there's a reward. You get a bounty. a booty, abundance as your reward for dealing with those feelings. That's motivation. Although you shouldn't need it. But if you do, that's motivation, even more so to deal with your feelings, because when you deal with those feelings and you've received that healing, there's a blessing a coming. Because you becoming fearless. You like, you know what? I always wanted to learn about this practice. You know what? I always wanted to go back to school to do this. You know what? I always wanted to see if this gift, this idea that I have can create or generate some abundance in my life. I'm hearing about all kind of people going through transformations and starting businesses. Yes. Express yourself. That's what that's about. People are stepping out on faith. People are dealing with their feelings, being healed, transforming, and coming forth brand new, sharing their fruits with you and I. Yes, express yourself. Allow that which is on the inside to come outside so that you can deal with it, be healed from it, and be transformed into your, oh, baby, you're finna walk into your good. If you heed these words that are coming out of my mouth, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Will you receive the information that I am sharing with you in any variation? Chop it up, slice it up, dice it up, and then put it back together in a way that makes sense for you. Take notes. If you find that I'm jumping all over the place because of my scattered brainness, because I'm passionately sharing this information with you, even as I am processing, healing, and dealing with feelings right now, let it be food to your soul. Use it as a tool. Come back to it. Remember it. Hide it in your heart. If you're not going through something right now and you listening to this video, sometime down the road, you probably will. That's why you're listening today. The wonderful thing about this platform is you can pause, listen to it in increments. After you've watched it or don't choose to watch it right away, you can come back to it at a time when you find yourself in need of this information. You'll be stimulated. You'll hear something that will make you remember, cause you to remember this video, and you'll come back to it and be like, I remember Selexi talking about fear being the messenger, that we have some feelings that we need to deal with so we can receive the healing and the subsequent reward. This has been your girl, Selexi. I love you all so much. You have no idea. Because my perspective is that as I love myself, and I do love myself, that connects me to you. And loving you is by default. Comes naturally, baby. You are an extension of who I am. Take it or leave it, good, bad, or indifferent. So I love all of you. Stay whole, stay woke, raise your vibration every single day, striving to reach the highest frequency, y'all. That's the mark where the highest prizes are. Keep striving for the top and keep your head to the sky. Mwah. Signing off for She Shakespeare. This has been your girl, Selexi.